All right, so Jen Psaki, the former White House press secretary, is deeply worried about Usha Vance, J.D. Vance's wife. Yes, she went on a podcast hosted by two random middle-aged Democrats and aired her concerns about J.D. Vance's and Usha Vance's relationship, which I'm sure as Jen Psaki, she has tremendous insight into. So let's get into it.
We no longer should have a democracy.
I think the little Manchurian candidate, J.D. Vance, wants to be president more than anything else.
Yeah.
I always wonder what's going on in the mind of his wife. Like,
Agreed.
Are you okay? Please blink 4 times.
Yes.
We'll come over here. We'll save you. And that he's willing to do anything to get there. And that your whole iteration you just outlined, I mean, he's scarier in certain ways.
He's smarter.
In some ways. And he's young.
Yeah. And ambitious.
And agile in the sense that he is a chameleon who makes himself into whatever he thinks the audience wants to hear from him. Now.
Okay, save Usha Vance from what exactly? Like, what is Jen Psaki suggesting here? The implication is almost like that she's in an abusive marriage. Like, even if it's not physically abusive, that by being conservative, by being right-wing, J.D. Vance is somehow mistreating his wife, or she's oppressed by him. It's very condescending. It's actually very, very white paternalist of Jen Psaki. So shame on you, Jen. You should know better than to impose your white standards of love and marriage on a non-white person. I find that very offensive. I demand an apology. Okay, now in all seriousness, though, it is condescending, and it's this weird game that like female empowerment types play, where women are simultaneously strong and independent and capable of thinking for themselves, and then women who don't believe what they believe are like oppressed or brainwashed or bimbos or, pick any term, basically just stupid and in need of rescuing, right, from their internalized misogyny. But let's continue with the wisdom of Jen Psaki.
What's also true, though, is J.D. Vance is not, he's in some ways goodish on paper if you like what he believes in. I don't know. But I don't know that he can take the whole movement with him.
No way.
I don't think so either.
There's no Rizz.
It's got no Rizz, right?
None.
And he just is a little odd. And
totally.
So Trump's odd in a different way. So I'm skeptical of that. So yeah, he's got to. I mean, everything going on right now, and I think we have to be very clear-eyed about this.
Okay, hold on. Jen Psaki is going to go into a little rant about elections and Trump being a dictator and an authoritarian and whatever. I mean, she doesn't use those words, but that's obviously the implication. But this clip is interesting for a few reasons. The first one is that if you've seen any clips of Karine Jean-Pierre on her media tour for her new memoir recently, you will instantly be struck by how much dumber Karine Jean-Pierre is than Jen Psaki. Like, I don't like Jen Psaki. I disagree with her on probably everything. But she is intelligent. She can put a sentence together and she can, cohere her beliefs into something that sounds vaguely intellectual, vaguely analytical. Karine Jean-Pierre is incapable of doing that. She really is. She just stumbles. She stumbles over and over and over again. But I'm not I'm not trying to give too much credit to Jen Psaki. Her theory of politics is like vibes driven. And that's kind of true because people vote for people that they like, but it's also just kind of pathetic. Like, she and the women hosting the podcast say that J.D. Vance has no Rizz. Well, what is Rizz? And I feel silly like doing an actual analysis of this, but okay, Rizz is usually used to refer to a guy's kind of like charm in a romantic sense, right? Can he pick up women? Are women attracted to him? How good is he at hitting on women? And you see this kind of like sexual dating romantic metaphor applied to politics a lot, particularly by Democrats. But I think that Republicans do it too, but Democrats love to say like, oh, you know, J.D. Vance is an incel. J.D. Vance with his wife and 3 children. Anyone they don't like is an incel, right? Because that's the ultimate insult, is that you are unable to get women, that women are repulsed by you. And I think it's, I don't know. I think it's kind of pathetic to parse everything through that lens, especially when you are supposed to be electing someone who is going to be the commander-in-chief, who's going to be in charge of these monumental domestic and international decisions, and you are evaluating him on the basis of, well, does it seem like, you know, he would get women if he went up to them in a bar? It's like, I mean, why even vote? Why even vote if that's how you're going to do it? I really don't know.
It's about trying to manipulate the public around elections. And so even pre-J.D. Vance ascension or attempt for J.D. Vance to ascend, we're looking at the midterm elections next year. And J.B. Pritzker's called this out. Gavin Newsom has called this out. These troops in the streets, these attempts to, manipulate the elections by doing these middle of the process redistricting. This is all about making it harder to participate in the process, making it harder for Democrats and for people who want to support these candidates, and even just people who want to check on the power of Trump to participate. That's what this is all about. So that's just the lead up to taking greater and greater and greater control, and even taking the military underneath his wing, taking the press, which they're completely reshaping the whole press room.
Oh no, they're reshaping the press room. So we're not going to get as many insights from the likes of the New York Times and the Washington Post, which, can I just say, those 2 outlets published some of the most bizarre stories I've ever written. I'm pretty sure WAPO did one on like anti-Trump clowns, literal clowns that are part of the hashtag resistance. But anyway, that's not totally relevant. Also, Trump is the commander-in-chief. I don't really know what she means by, like, taking the military under his wing. And, of course, we know that Democrats are going to go on a hypocritical redistricting spiel because everyone kind of plays this game in politics. When I do it, it's redistricting. When you do it, it's gerrymandering, and it's evil, and it's bad. I mean, Gavin Newsom is the most obvious and absurd example of this. Like, oh, well, I disagree with what Republicans are doing in Texas, so, I'm going to do that same thing here. Well, okay, but it makes it more difficult to take you seriously when you call what Republicans are doing in Texas like the slaughtering of democracy, you know? It's totally ridiculous. And even less than that, right? Like every minute political decision, whether Trump is nice to Zelensky in the White House or not, every decision is a referendum on the state of our democracy and why Trump and co. are tearing it apart. And those are high stakes, and if they work for you, they work for you. But if they don't work, if people vote in Trump or Republicans like they did in 2024, you're kind of left hanging. Because it's like, well, America has not crumbled. It's still standing. Some would say it's doing better, much better. Much better than it was under President Joe Biden. The border is not porous anymore. You know, he managed to shut that down pretty quickly. So I think rhetorically it is a risky strategy that does not seem to have paid off. Of course, there are hordes of old people that really believe what Jen Psaki is saying here. We saw them come out for the No Kings protest, but I don't really know how much impact, you know, Jen Psaki is having on the youth. But let me know what you think in the comments section below. Do we need to save Usha Vance from her oppressor? Give this video a like, hit subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.